everybody? Welcome to another Rapid Chat where we bring together great minds to talk about cool things. So here we are. We're here with Sam Jacobs. I'm going to let him do the intro himself because he will do it more justice, and then we'll get into a few questions. But we're super excited to have him here today. So Sam, take it away. Tell us a little bit about you, a little bit about Revenue Collective, and we'll kind of go from there.
Sounds good. Thanks, Matt. My name is Sam Jacobs. I'm the founder of Revenue Collective. It's a private membership organization for revenue leaders, people that are leading teams and part of and up-and-coming leaders and those teams across sales, marketing, customer success, and operations. We come together to, our mission is to help people unlock and achieve their professional potential. So what that means is it's a networking community, it's a networking platform, but there's a specific purpose to it. The purpose is to help people navigate their career and achieve their career goals, whatever those career goals are, better, more easily, with more confidence.
I love it, Sam. I appreciate that. And I can speak and say they're doing some really cool things. So definitely check them out if you haven't yet, and get in on that. It's really cool stuff. So let's jump in. Over the last few years, there's been a trend, right? We've seen this trend from these individual sales and marketing siloed teams being combined into one revenue team. I like the trend because it's significant for what we're doing with our business and trying to connect and create better alignment across these revenue teams. But I'd love to hear your perspective on why and how we're seeing that trend take place and some of the important factors around that.
Well, I think the why is because I think there is developing sophistication and an evolution around how people think about how companies make money. And that's certainly part of the drum that I beat, which is that historically, I think there's been this idea that sales is the team that makes the money and marketing is the team that we're not sure what they do. And customer success is obviously the team that helps you keep the money. But I think what people are realizing is that money is made really as a team sport. And the first place that team needs to gel is between sales, marketing, and customer success. And that is those combined efforts that actually generate revenue growth. It's not, and I teach this a lot, it's not really the sales team that's making money, or the sales team turns demand into money, but the sales team doesn't generate demand. And so you need alignment across the function of both generating awareness and interest, which we would call demand, and then turning that demand into money. And that is the sales, marketing, customer success journey. And I think looking at it holistically helps companies plan for the long term and better execute their strategy.
I don't know that I've heard that said better. So well done there. That's great. And I agree. So talk to me about challenges, right? So obviously, when you start to combine people and teams and you start to try to take this theory and turn it into a living organism, there are challenges, right? So what challenges are you seeing as teams start coming together? What are you hearing from people, whether they be systems issues, process issues, people or cultural issues? What are you hearing as some of the big challenges people are facing?
I think the big challenge is not it's not that new, but it relates to this definition of alignment and incentives. And specifically, it is how are we measuring and managing the marketing organization specifically, and then how does that relate to our interest in generating revenue? And there's been a big shift in moving from discrete management and measurement and saying marketing is leads or marketing qualified leads, and marketing qualified lead is an email address that has done this activities and thus equals this lead score. That's what a marketing qualified lead is. That emphasis, and then saying it's sales job to turn those leads into money, but they're different and we're going to look at them and measure them differently. The other piece that I think is challenging is around attribution, because the more that you have these teams working together, the more it's not quite clear all the time how did we make that money? Was it the ad that the person clicked on? Was it the fact that the SDR reached out to them? Who should the SDR report to? So the first thing is what are the common metrics that we should measure this revenue organization by? And I think there is a movement away from these discrete marketing metrics like MQLs towards a more holistic framework, which would be, frankly, revenue. And I think more and more CMOs and marketing leaders and revenue organizations are saying, the main output that we're obviously all looking for is revenue growth. So that's the thing that we're all going to be measured against. Now, there might be input measurements that we need to keep our eyes on, but I think sort of like measuring success is the first big challenge. And then relatedly, it is the fact that once you shift the incentives and you shift the structure, well, then you've got people that have committed to careers in these functions and disciplines, and that's new for them. And so, there's lots of marketing leaders that aren't comfortable being measured on revenue because they say they don't have enough control over it. There's many sales leaders potentially that aren't comfortable being measured on pipeline because, again, they feel like they have no control over it. And yet we need to push these organizations together because they do have more control than they think. And regardless of the control, we need business measurements that are related to the right business outcomes. And I think in the old world, we saw some lack of alignment there.
Brilliant. Yeah, I appreciate you covering metrics on that too. That's fantastic. All right, so let's talk about, look, we wouldn't be able to have a video call or a webinar today if we didn't at least touch on COVID-19. So let's just talk about that quickly, because we've obviously seen changes in how companies acquire customers. So there are trends there. Are you seeing anything that you think is going to be a lasting impact in those changes from a marketing, selling, or a servicing perspective?
It's hard to say about lasting impact. I think that COVID has been, which you may have talked about in previous episodes, it's really kind of like a tale of three cities. There's a group of companies that have dramatically benefited from this move to work from home. And we obviously are on one of them. And that's not a surprise, that platforms that are about team productivity and team enablement like Zoom or Slack have benefited tremendously. On the other side, there's companies that have gone to basically zero. And yes, there have been periods of innovation, but nevertheless, companies that sold to restaurants, companies that are focused on business travel management, companies that are focused on hospitality, those companies have moved away. What's happened as a consequence of that may be a longer lasting impact is that the rigor around pipeline management has dramatically increased over the course of the last 6 months. And what we're hearing and seeing in Revenue Collective, because we've run lots and lots of benchmarking surveys. In fact, in March, we were running 2 a week because everybody was in shock, and we were really trying to be there for our members and saying, what's happening? Are you lowering forecasts? Are you changing quotas? How are you managing the team? Are you talking to the team 3 times a day versus 1 time a day? And what we saw is that, the best organizations immediately cut their pipeline by industry vertical. And they really got much more rigorous about saying, we can't just look at pipeline as this meshed, conglomeration of all of these different opportunities. We need to be hyper-focused on segments. And then we need to make plans based on each segment. I think that will, listen, necessity is the mother of invention. And I think that rigor around pipeline management is probably something here to stay. And of course, I'm not any expert other than anybody else around work from home, but I think we are going to see dramatically more flexibility. I think that there's lots of people that are pounding the table saying, let's get back to the office. But I think there are people that were saying, we're never going to work from home. Everybody's got to be in the office at 8 a.m., et cetera, et cetera. And even those people, I think, have had a change of mind. And I think all of us are going to have a lot more flexibility around our working environments going forward. But again, I don't think that's not some surprise. I think everybody knows that at this point.
Sure. As somebody that's running a business, I can relate to everything you said. So absolutely. And, to kind of back up the metrics and reporting stuff you mentioned, we ran an in-app poll to our customers asking them how often they were now reporting, to higher ups. And, this used to be a monthly or quarterly or annually reporting cadence. They're reporting daily and weekly now. Yeah. We got zeros on monthly, quarterly, and annually. It's literally happening daily. And so that's an effect of COVID. And I think it's a good thing. So very cool, Sam. I appreciate your time. Any parting words for us?
No, if you are a revenue leader of any kind, if you're a vice president, a C-level person, or if you're on the way up, you're a director, you're a manager, you're a top performing individual contributor, we are putting together a ton of resources for people. We're hearing from CEOs that they're really thinking about people that are in Revenue Collective is probably better than people that are not, only because those people are invested in their own professional development and success. And so if you're interested in learning more about Revenue Collective, go to revenuecollective.com, click apply now. If you're a leader, a CEO, we have group memberships so that you can get your entire executive team. You can get all of your directors signed up and obviously receive a discount. And it's an incredible professional benefit, particularly because, you know, things like steak dinners and President's Club trips to Hawaii are not as possible. So I would be remiss if I didn't shill my own company a little bit. Those are my parting words. If you have any questions about anything I said, or you just want to talk, sam@revenuecollective.com is my email address.
Check them out, guys. It's good stuff. So appreciate it, Sam. Have a good
Thank you.
week.
Great being here. Thank you.